$32 billion. That's how much spending is included in Governor Bruce Rauner's budget proposal for next year. As we've told you before, it includes more money for schools and less for social services. As News Channel 20's Adam Reif reports, it's proving to be a divisive plan in the State House.
Reckless or realistic? Not a whole lot of gray area as leaders and lawmakers react to Governor Bruce Rauner's first budget address.
This budget is honest with the people of Illinois, and it presents an honest path forward.
I would go with the reckless.
The governor presented what we think is an honest and realistic budget.
It doesn't reflect the compassionate and competitive Illinois that was promised during that campaign.
That was an honest, realistic assessment of the state's financial challenges.
I think the governor proposes to engage in conduct which I would consider to be reckless.
Facing a $6.2 billion budget crisis, Governor Rauner declined to address new revenue opportunities, opting instead for massive cuts in services.
Some in the General Assembly are eager to discuss new revenue. But before revenue should be discussed, reform is essential.
One of the most powerful men in the General Assembly says not so fast.
I disagree. I think that the elimination of the deficits will require a blend. Service cuts plus new revenue.
And that foreshadows what could be a showdown. Rauner has promised to make the tough decisions needed to start returning the state to fiscal solvency. And he started with the state's $100 billion albatross, the crippling pension system. The Rauner plan: honor all current obligations to retirees, move future employees to the Tier 2 pension plan, and offer pre-2011 hirees a lump sum buyout. The governor says this could save the state more than $2 billion.
Without reforms proposed in this budget, nearly 25 cents of every tax dollar will continue going into a broken pension system.
And the governor says reform is necessary regardless of what happens to the bill that will be heard by the state Supreme Court in March. But the Rauner plan is drawing heat for spending savings that have yet to be confirmed.
To essentially book $2.2 billion that we don't know whether it's going to be available or not seems, frankly, to use the speaker's words, it seems reckless.
Governor Rauner also delivered on his pledge to make education funding a priority.
This budget also increases K-12 education funding by $300 million.
But that tepid applause from Democrats is telling. Illinois Education Association President Cinda Klickna.
The State Board of Education proposed $700 million increase.
And even then,
that itself is not enough to get to the foundation level that is recommended.
Klickna says the Rauner funding level will devastate student programs at the lower levels and says higher education will take a massive hit. She says universities that lose the proposed amount of state funding will be forced to raise tuition significantly to make up the difference, and that, Klickna says, will have dangerous and long-lasting impacts on the state's ability to attract students. So if not education, where else do we look to balance the budget?
I'm not a budget expert, so I can't sit and say which line item. But overall, we have to look at revenue.
But Governor Rauner disagrees, at least for now.
However, while this budget begins to fix our financial problems, the only real answer to our challenges is to become pro-growth again.
Music to the business community's ears.
It's been a refreshing change of pace. The governor certainly understands the needs of the business community, someone who understands what it takes to balance a budget, to meet a payroll. It's a refreshing change in the governor's office.
For months, Rauner has pushed for several reforms he says will improve the state's business climate: tax reform, tort reform, workers' compensation reform.
We've had a number of meetings with his administration, his top staff, and even the governor in some cases about some of these reforms.
Like a lot of the proposals in the Rauner budget, they won't come easy, if at all. But one thing is for sure, cooperation and compromise will be key.
We make difficult choices that no one wants to make. But it's what this occasion requires. This is our last, best chance to get our house in order. Let's get it done together.
Now, it's important to remember this budget document is huge, over 500 pages. They don't even print it anymore. And the budget as presented by Governor Rauner represents his best case scenario. We know he won't get everything he wants. Last year, negotiations went into the 11th hour. This year, some are worried it could take even longer. Back to you.